In the Bible, when it talks about I have come to tear households apart, turn mothers and fathers against their children, and brother against brother, and so on, and mothers and their daughters, and all those things, I have come to put my darkness in the dark union with the covenants that have been established with Xerxes and King David, the Holy Ghost, and Jesus Christ, the Son of King David, chosen in 1 Matthew 18 through 25, after sharing the ark with Xerxes, which the law had chosen, or the world had chosen, childbirth, dying from God, and being born through the belly of a womb, which is being born into the darkness of sin, which is man-made law, to come in to a household and spiritually thieve from somebody by corrupting their households and replacing that darkness, that dark union that comes in, and replacing that darkness with their youthful spirits, because the darkness had overcome to the point where you can't stop crying about the same thing, you can't get over something, you can't move forward, you're stuck in that dark, clouded mind of hatred and anger and whatever types of other things that aren't welcome in the heavenly sanctuaries, hell and heaven, for purity before going into heaven. But to take from a family in such a manner and practice law, it's taking their spiritual wellspring that is up in heaven with the star that feeds off of that spirit, that those youthful spirits, those spirits of the land, those spirits of the world and all things in it that are gifted by God in a form of blessings. To come in and thieve in such a manner, it's a murder of a star. It is putting a star out and cutting its wellspring so that the star will fall and perish to the world for the use of its grape. These kinds of laws are being used widely in America now in the form of bot governments or idol worship churches that come and corrupt our households in the form of a law by not staying to the commandments and going way past the commandments and constantly practicing law upon us. We are forced to defend ourselves, whether it be with just words, or it comes to a point where not even words could cure the problem, that it comes to something more physical. The only way intellectually to purify something that has come for whatever purposes, but it does state in the Bible, I have come to destroy. These are the vainglories. In biblical references, it is Emmanuel that was born from the bosom of King David, a spirit, Emmanuel. And then from Mary Magdalene, King David of Abigail, and Mary Magdalene. From Mary Magdalene, Jesus Christ pulled those 7 sins that came from that flesh of the pig that was put up King David's bosom in his dying ages. They had made a mental impression and a like-minded spirit of King David, and Jesus Christ carried it and administered it to the 12 prophets that spoke the will of God in the practice of righteous law. And it comes a point in the commandments that Solomon had made with Moses, or through Moses, or Solomon had carried something for Moses with Sheba who spread out into the land to practice righteous law. Even a governor, even a senator, even a chief priest or preacher or priestess or everybody, not one stone goes unturned, but staying close to the commandments is the light and the lamp. This is the righteous law. You go past the commandments and you constantly beat and torment and torture that spirit that practices the law with those people who choose to pray those prayers over people's households for that type of destruction and vainglories. Eventually that spirit is perished, or the star that that spirit feeds off is perished. And this is being led by people who have overcome households before and thefted our souls, thefted our stars, thefted our, and they're practicing law with these things, and they're trying to destroy us completely or perish our star if they overcome with our own spirits and use our own spirits in the form of man-made law, especially if it is past the statutes and commandments. It's murder, and it should be looked at and addressed by a constitution. The more and more the foreign governments and foreign countries come into America, it is becoming more and more of an idol worship church, praising that image that everybody exalts in their eyes and sees and hears in their ears. And I'm not speaking the truth to talk bad about somebody who does those things, acts out on TV. That's not a bad thing. What is bad is putting those spirits that you use in man-made sacrifices into households and corrupted households past statutes. Unrighteous law. Now, commandments is a righteous law. But if it is called murder in the real world to kill somebody, it is the same thing as a star to kill somebody. It should be called murder, and it should be addressed. There is no other way to put it. It is not Jesus Christ that was evil, vile, tainted, corrupt. It was noted as Emmanuel and Herod and Caesar. And not just that, but Jesus was a shepherd and well trusted with the children's spirits, the babies that are born into the world with lust in James 1:15, that death that comes with it. He was favored by God and trusted by God to administer truth that was able to enter into the kingdom of heaven. That pureness, that heart of many protons, and that brain with many electrons, and the dead bodily tissue with many neutrons, an atom that is complete or incomplete in a molecular difference, or whole in a oneness of God and a union of understanding and uplifting that belongs to God, which is being born into the world through a woman's womb, and that death that comes with it, that they no longer want, they don't like it, they don't, you know what, they choose money and glory and torturing other people and bullying and law practiced by man. They choose all those things, and those spirits are eventually taken from them, or they have used their spirits to corrupt other people, and that star fell upon them, and they had become fat by it because they had eaten themselves. And when I say eaten themselves, they have eaten others with their spirits. Their star no longer had any fuel, and it fell upon them, and they became a big bully. And I say these things not to be even mean to the bully. Even the bully can be cleansed and reborn. And when I say reborn, they could be found again by God and rebuild a castle where a star resides with a bunch of spirits to feed, and a bunch of people that trust that their spirits are being fed to the eternal God, the all-living God, the all-knowing God, the omniscient, the everlasting God. They can put their faith in something, and it is in the Word that created the very Word. the world, in the word that created the very world.